Good morning, everyone. I am Jack Madrid, and welcome to Industry Beacon, where we feature the titans of industry and technology shaping our future. We're not just talking about success stories, we are diving deep into their hearts and minds to see what drives them, as we decode the future one digital dialogue at a time. The Philippine real estate industry is a dynamic, fast-growing sector, playing a key role in shaping the country's urban landscape and driving economic growth. With development spanning from mixed-use communities to green and sustainable projects, the industry is constantly evolving to meet the needs of businesses and communities. JLL Philippines stands at the forefront of this transformation, delivering innovative solutions and leading iconic projects like Bonifacio East and the MNL1 Data Center. JLL is also a staunch supporter of the IT BPM industry. Here with us today is the country head of JLL Philippines, Joey Radovan. Good morning, Joey. Thank you for joining us today.
Morning, Jack. Morning, everyone. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. You know, Joey, the Philippines has been known as a cost-competitive destination for businesses. So my first question is, in terms of total property costs, residential, commercial, and industrial, are we still competitive compared to countries like India, Malaysia, South Africa, Egypt, Mexico? And what should we do to maintain the edge of the Philippines?
Yeah, great question, Jack. I think one of the reasons why we are the call center capital of the world is because our cost arbitrage compared to most of the countries and even in Southeast Asia remains relatively low. Right? And I think what people don't realize when investors actually come in our country is they also see the currency arbitrage as well. And I think it's not something that's good for us, especially if we like to travel, Jack. But for these U.S. companies that are looking at the conversion of the dollar to the peso, each peso devaluation is a savings for them, right? And so I think we remain to be a cost-competitive location from a real estate perspective, from a cost perspective, and we should just really, cherish why we have this 3-decade outsourcing industry is because of that cost arbitrage.
Aside from cost, though, and we're going to talk about infrastructure later, one thing that we've talked about in the past, Joey, is really the importance of the availability of talent.
Yes.
Right? Would you have some comments on how important that is?
Yeah, of course, people always compare the Philippines with India because they are the leading outsourcing destination and we are a close second, right? And I think a lot of the companies, especially the US, knows the scale and the availability of labor for both countries. But I always, focus on what I have. I really don't, look at, what Singapore is or what India is, right? I just take care of business on the ground. So I think if we want to keep going relative to supplying, the outsourcing industry, for example, at least labor, we have to think about how to upskill our current talent and our future talent. What would be the courses that we need to put in the curriculum, short-term trainings. And I think it's also important that, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it later, right? How AI is really going to impact the skill sets that, young people are going to need, or even us, to try and keep our jobs.
You're a very well-traveled person, Joey, and a big topic for today is digital cities. So my question is, if you could live, work, or invest anywhere in the world today, what city would you choose and why?
Well, there's two answers. One is more professional and one is more personal, right? I've recently discovered the water again, and I learned how to stand up paddleboard and picked up surfing. So definitely, I will be leaning towards places where I can surf. Right? So outside of the Philippines, I guess that would be Bali. If I will mix work and play, then that's definitely going to be in California, right? Any place in California with the water, right? And because there's such a thing now as digital nomads, or
Yeah.
even the type of job that we do, for as long as we're not doing physical inspections of the real estate. I mean, we talk to clients sitting in Starbucks or at home, or it's the work from anywhere culture, right? But yeah, I would lean towards where the water is. So after a break, after working, I can just get out and surf for
So
half an
the
hour.
water and the beach over the mountains then for you.
Yes, yes.
So between those choices, Joey, are there parallels that you see between those cities that you chose and what we have here in the Philippines, our urban centers or our resort locations? Any parallels there?
Yeah, no, absolutely, Jack. I mean, the Philippines is quite an interesting, country, and I read many years ago, if I remember, in the CIA website, how they describe the Philippines, right? That the Philippines is just the size of the state of Arizona.
Wow.
And when I'm meeting clients in the U.S., I use that, right? 300,000 square kilometers, Arizona and the Philippines. The difference is the Philippines is broken up into 7,000 plus islands, right? While Arizona is one big piece of land. The population of the state of Arizona and the Philippines is also miles apart, right? 100 million plus to less than 5 million. And so that's a context that I actually, present a lot to clients to understand the Philippines. And to my earlier point about working near the water, I see synergies in terms of, for example, IT BPO community growing in these places near, resorts where you can
Yes.
actually take a
Yes.
vacation. And because the parallel universe now, and we've talked about this, right, that for the last 3 decades we had the office market rocking, because of the IT BPO community. We're really seeing acceleration in hospitality as well. So, hotel and resort projects are up and up as well. So I would imagine that projects that would have hospitality and BPO together near the beach is not far-fetched, right? I'm sure someone is cooking up that type of deal already.
The Philippines being an archipelago is certainly an advantage, specifically in geodiversity. And this has helped drive the growth of IT BPM outside Manila and Cebu, a silver lining of the pandemic. But let's talk about growth in the countryside. Based on the current trends that you see, Joey, what do you think will be the next 3, let's say, emerging digital cities in the next 5 or so years?
Yeah. I was really thinking hard, Jack, how I would answer a question like that because I was expecting it. I'm going to call it my 3 C's of
3
cities.
C's.
I'm really into cities, right? And, first is, maybe more of a surprise, right? And I would call it our near shore city because it's in Metro Manila, right? And it's not an obvious choice, but it has, extensive population, right? About 1.5 million, if I remember it, right? City of Caloocan.
Wow, Caloocan.
Caloocan, because I am almost sure there's a lot of employees from Caloocan that's going to BGC, going to Makati, going into all these, sub-cities of Metro Manila for employment, right? But again, bring the real estate there, bring the jobs there, so that it goes into another city, right? So that's my near shore, city recommendation. Another one is, again, tied to probably a recent announcement of one of the big developers that's going to invest in the city, which is Cagayan de Oro. right? And Mega World just announced a huge project there. And as you know, when big developers like Mega World come in, I mean, they're really building massive blocks of real estate from retail, residential, office, and hotels. So the physical aspect of creating jobs is going to be there already. All the universities and employers have to do is support that convergence, right? So I have no doubt that, we're going to see Cagayan de Oro matching Davao in a few years.
So this is very interesting so far. We have Caloocan, we have Cagayan de Oro. I wonder what the next C is.
Yeah, so my last C is really, it's been there. I had a client before that I helped evaluate Northern Luzon. And I'm not going to name her name, but she's been a friend and mentor. But probably if I name the company, everyone will figure it out, right? So I was working with ICT Group, and we lived in a van for a couple of weeks, driving around Northern Luzon, and went to Urdaneta, went to Dagupan, went as far as Baguio, and then we landed in Cabanatuan. Right? And it's not a big city. No, it's not a big population too, like roughly 500,000. But that's central Luzon. If you place yourself in central Luzon, then I have no doubt that the convergence of employees will go there. I mean, when they set up there, they had people from Baguio actually coming down to work there because the jobs are there, right? You create the jobs, people will come to the job.
Oh, fantastic. So I won't forget that. 3 C's. Moving on, Joey, let's talk about smart cities. They have this promise to promote and integrate sustainability, technology, and livability. So given the Philippines' current urban challenges, which of these 3 areas, in your opinion, should take precedence, and how can we arrive at this optimal balance?
Yeah. So I think, Jack, using the word smart entails investment in technology, right? And that is both data and hardware. And if you really want to say that you have a smart city, then you have to invest in those 2 things. How are you going to collect the data? Right, the number of employees, the wages, taxes, deals, real estate deals, because that's also one important example of our market not being as transparent. So that's why people come to us to ask, what should be the rent for this deal or what should be the purchase, right? Versus in the US, you can easily access that data yourself, so you know that you're getting a fair, deal or not, right? So that's one. And then second is really the technology, which is the hardware. That's where the innovation can come in. So for example, JLL has a technology company, actually, in case you don't know. It's called JLLT, JLL Technology. So in 2019, JLL started investing in hardware and software companies, right? And we also have a VC called JLL Spark. My favorite product is actually a product called Verge Sense. And Verge Sense is an occupancy sensor. So you put that occupancy sensor in a desk. So if you have a building, you would know how many employees in real time are actually occupying that, space. So is it being used? Is it being utilized? So I think same with the city, right? If they have those technological innovations to track, as simple as having cameras so they could see if crime is being committed. That's a function of technology too, right? And so being a smart city is really how you collect whatever data is available for whoever wants to use it, and then the hardware that you use to actually collect that data, the tech.
Oh, that's a very important point you just made. Now, if you could add one more sort of groundbreaking feature to make, one Philippine city truly smart, what would that feature be?
I mean, there's a lot of technology, Jack, to make a building or a city smart, right? One thing that it can be part of that smart, but one thing that I got recent inspiration from when we traveled to the US and joined, Cornet, what I gathered was clients are now expecting that sustainable projects or buildings is a must. No discussion. That's already a given, right? Technology, it's also a given. Whether that's the occupancy sensors or property management software, you can't get away with it. But what I discovered is a lot of the clients now, and maybe because of the pandemic, are all into health and wellness of buildings, of cities. And that's becoming a criteria now more than ever. So, if it's sustainability, there's Verde, there's LEED. Now for wellness, there's WELL, right? So I think just to answer it in a different way, maybe it's not a smart city that clients are going to look out for in the future. Maybe it's a place where can our employees not get sick here, right? Can our employees be healthy? Because obviously a healthy employee is a productive employee.
Mental wellness is so important. So what I hear from that is sustainability and don't let our buildings get sick. There are some sick buildings that I
the
keep
indoor
hearing.
air quality as an example.
We're now going to take a quick break. Industry Beacon will be right back. Please stay with us. And we're back. You're still watching Industry Beacon here on BNC. With us is Joey Radovan of JLL Philippines. Joey, let's continue talking about, corporate real estate. The IT BPM sector, being the biggest user of office and commercial space, is increasingly reliant on digital infrastructure. And my question is, how should the next wave of digital cities position themselves to attract even more investments while also, catering to the needs of the local talent?
Another great question, Jack, but also sensitive given where we are with artificial intelligence, right? And I think I've been really wrapping my head around how, these two universes can coexist, the physical aspect of employment and the digital aspect of it, right? And, one thought that I had, sans all the barriers for, let's say, a data center, is to really think about how we can support a company that's actually pivoting to both, right? And what that means is we already have developers that are pumping in the supply for office to, accommodate the requirements of our IT BPO companies, right? The Fortune 500 companies that are outsourcing. But these guys also have a strategy in terms of giving some of the work to AI, which can translate to a data center. So I think if, again, not easy to say I'm going to put a data center in this city, right? Because they require a lot of power, they require a huge tract of land. But I think if that story of, again, the physical need and the digital need merges and we embrace it, then you have something to sell, right? Because that fear of unknown, the fear of not knowing how AI is going to come and is it going to take away call center jobs, it's just something negative that dwells into everyone's minds, right? But I see it as an opportunity to really understand and embrace it. And how can we tell the cities that this is what you need to do with your students, this is what they need to learn, this is the infrastructure that's needed to support, the data centers. And then from there, right, a city can benefit to both of the requirements.
AI is certainly not going away, and we just, as a workforce or job seekers, we just need to embrace it and learn how to use the tool. certainly a key theme at the Cornet Global Summit that we both attended, Joey, in Washington, D.C.
And thank you for supporting, Jack.
It was very proud to, to represent the Philippines and market the Philippines there. The Cornet Global Summit is one of the world's premier events in corporate real estate. And so, we had many hundreds of CRE professionals together that weekend, and it was really just such a significant stage. So my question is, Joey, what were your key takeaways, from that conference? And as we both presented and listened to all those great presentations, well, what stood out for you?
So I really wanted to be there physically, to really talk to persons, to get a beat about what is the future of corporate real estate, what's the demand looking like. And, I got a good sense, right? Because of all the uncertainties, they are slower in making the decision process in terms of, procuring more space, right? And that's why I think us being more proactive to try and go to them and understand what their needs are will extract that requirement, right? Because before, we would get a lot of companies coming in and saying, we want 10,000 square meters, we're going to create 1,000 jobs, or 10,000 jobs in 5 years. But, the hybrid work from home has been really a huge curveball, but it's not going to go away. And that's why I'm saying, don't treat it as a problem, make it part of the solution and then, move on, right? Because also relating back to AI, right? It's just like before when the call center industry was starting, it wasn't even BPOs. I would go to the landlords in Makati and tell them, hey, I have a client, I need 1,000 square meters, and it's a call center. And then the landlord's gonna say, a call center, what are you gonna do, put phone booths in the floor? No. Well, we'll put phones, but they're gonna be on desks, right? And so fast forward after a decade, when you say to a client, I have a BPO requirement, right? Or a call center, they're gonna embrace it, right? Yeah. Yes, we'll do a deal, right? So I guess it's the same with what's happening right now. We don't understand AI, but I see AI as okay, I'm gonna call all the AI companies and say, hey, do you need a back office, right? Or a data center, for putting all that data. I just see the upside of potential requirements. I think I'm always a very positive person, right? And maybe that's a chink in my armor, but I think it has done me well by looking at the bright side of things.
Love the optimism, Joey, and so am I. I'm also an optimist. I could talk real estate with you for a very long time, but I'm afraid that is it for today's show. I am Jack Madrid, and thank you so much to our valued guest, Joey Radovan of JLL Philippines, for sharing your perspectives with us. Catch us again tomorrow for more enlightening discussions on Industry Beacon. You can catch BNC on Free TV Channel 31 and on Signal Channel 24. Thank you for watching BNC, the Bilyonaryo news channel, always on top.